A little girl in a blue dress sat alone on the steps of the dance studio. A man in a dark suit walked past but paused. He looked back at her. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked gently. She shook her head without looking up. "I'm waiting," she whispered. "For who?" "My dad," she said. "It's the father-daughter dance." He hesitated. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Boardroom, conference call, big deal, but he stayed still. Something about her voice stopped him. "Did he say he's coming?" the man asked. She looked up at him now. Big eyes. "He said he might if he gets off work in time. But he never does." He didn't know what to say. His own daughter years ago had said the same thing. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lila." He nodded slowly. "I'm Ben." He looked at the dance studio door. Pink streamers. Music inside. Laughter. "Do you want me to wait with you?" he asked. Lila hesitated. "Okay." They sat there together for a minute. Then she pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket. "I wrote my name in case I win the raffle. Daddy said I should still believe." He smiled. "He's right." The door opened. A woman in a headset called out, "Father-daughter participants inside now, please." Lila's lip trembled. Her hands shook. Ben stood. "Lila." She looked up. "Would you like a dance partner tonight?" She blinked. "But you're not my dad." He smiled. "No, but I promise to be someone who won't let you down. Just for tonight." She smiled a little. They walked inside. People stared. Ben didn't care. He took her hand. The music started. She danced clumsily, but he followed her lead. Then someone whispered, "Isn't that Ben Carter? The tech billionaire?" People started pulling out phones. But Lila didn't notice. She was laughing. Ben twirled her once. Her smile lit up the whole gym. Outside, his car still waited, his meeting missed, his phone ringing. Inside, a little girl danced. And for once, she wasn't alone. They sat on the edge of the gym after the first song. Lila reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a crumpled granola bar. "You hungry?" she asked. Ben chuckled. "I think you're supposed to offer that to your dad." She shrugged. "You're here." He took it and opened it carefully. "Best dinner I've had in weeks." They ate together, and he listened as she talked about school, her teacher, her stuffed animals, and her mom, who was away helping grandma in another city. She talked fast, like she was afraid if she stopped, the moment might end. "You're really good at dancing," Ben said with a grin. "I practiced in my room. I pretend I have a real dad who never misses anything." Ben's smile faded a little. He looked around. Dozens of fathers spinning their daughters in little dresses. Laughter. Joy. But somehow, he and Lila seemed to be in their own world. "I used to have a little girl," Ben said quietly. "What happened?" "She grew up. And I got too busy." Lila didn't say anything. She just scooted a little closer to him on the bench. He looked down at her. "You know," he said, "you helped me remember something tonight." "What?" "What really matters." She smiled again, that small, quiet smile that said more than words ever could. Another slow song started. "Wanna go again?" Ben asked, standing and offering his hand. She grabbed it without hesitation. They danced through the next few songs. She giggled when he tried to spin her too fast. She clapped when the lights flickered like stars above the gym. Time slowed. No emails, no phones, no board meetings. Just a little girl and a man who had forgotten how to be present. By the time the event ended, the room was quieter. Families were heading out. Balloons dragged on the floor. Ben and Lila sat back on the bench. "Did you have fun?" he asked. "The best," she said with sleepy eyes. He looked down at her feet. One shoe had come loose. He knelt and helped her fix the buckle. "I think you should win the raffle," he said. She handed him the folded paper with her name. "Can you put it in?" "I forgot." He walked over and slipped it into the bowl. The announcer called out, "Last chance for raffle entries." Moments later, the raffle drum spun. "And the winner is Lila West." Lila gasped.
"That's me."
The crowd clapped. She ran up and collected a big stuffed unicorn. She held it tight and ran back to Ben. "Daddy said I should believe." She whispered again. Ben swallowed the lump in his throat. "You did good, kid." A woman approached. She was breathless, her coat half buttoned. "Lila." "Mom." Lila ran to her. The woman looked at Ben, confused but grateful. "I got off as soon as I could. Thank you for being with her." Ben nodded. She's special. Leela ran back to him one last time and hugged him tightly. Thank you for being my dad tonight. He crouched and hugged her back. Thank you for letting me. Then she was gone. Ben walked out slowly. The driver opened the car door, but Ben didn't get in. He looked at the studio one more time. His phone buzzed again. He pulled it out, looked at the screen, then finally powered it off. That night, Ben sat at home in his silent penthouse, staring out over the city. The walls were covered in awards, news clippings, a shelf of trophies. But none of them meant much tonight. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo. His daughter, age 8. The last time they'd danced. He closed his eyes, and called her. Dad, a sleepy voice answered. Hey sweetheart, I know it's late, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for missing so much. A pause. It's okay Dad. I still love you. Tears welled up. I miss you. Can I come visit? Another pause.
Yeah, I'd like that.
He exhaled, heart full. Okay, I'll come this weekend. We'll have our own dance. Promise. Promise. Back at her little home, Leela fell asleep holding the unicorn close to her chest. Her mother tucked her in, she smiled in her sleep. Somewhere in her dreams, she danced again. And this time, her father stayed the whole night. Ben Carter didn't sleep that night. Even as he stared at the ceiling of his high-rise penthouse, he could still see her. The little girl in the blue dress. Leela. The way she had looked up at him with hope flickering behind her eyes. The way she had laughed when he'd twirled her, trusting him, even if just for a night. His phone kept buzzing. Missed meetings. Voicemails. His assistant had probably called 20 times. But all he could think about was Leela. He got up before sunrise. The city was still quiet outside his window. For the first time in years he didn't open his laptop. Instead, he picked up his phone and dialed his driver. Cancel everything today, he said. But sir, you have. I said cancel it. He ended the call and walked to the window. Below, people were already heading to work. He used to be one of them, driven by deadlines, pressure, money. But Leela's voice echoed in his mind. He said he might, but he never does. Ben had once been a father, too. Not everyone knew that. His daughter Chloe would have been the same age as Leela, maybe a little older. But she had died in a car accident with his wife 10 years ago. He had buried himself in work ever since. Built an empire. Made billions. But that little girl on the dance floor had brought something back. Something he thought he had buried with Chloe. A heart. By 7 a.m., Ben was in his private SUV. Heading back toward the neighborhood where the dance studio had been. His driver was confused. Sir, I thought. Just drive. Ben remembered the street name. Maple and 9th. He remembered the studio's pink door and the candy store across from it. When they arrived, the studio was closed. But across the street, the candy shop's owner was sweeping the sidewalk. Ben got out. Excuse me, he said. Do you happen to know a little girl named Leela? She was at the dance studio last night. The man looked up. Leela Carter. Ben paused. She said her last name is Carter. Yeah. The man nodded. Sweet girl. Comes by sometimes with a woman. Works over at the diner 2 blocks up. Single mom, I think. Ben's heart sank. She doesn't come with her dad. The man looked at him with a sigh. Nah. Poor kid always says he's working. Shame really. She waits every time though. You her uncle or something? Ben hesitated. Something like that. He walked back to the car, something shifting inside him. He didn't know why he cared. He didn't know why this little girl had cracked him open like this. But she had. And now he needed to know more. 2 blocks away, the diner was buzzing. It was old, small, a bell over the door that jingled when he walked in. A waitress in a tired red uniform stood behind the counter, pouring coffee. She looked up when she saw Ben, tall, sharp-suited, completely out of place. Can I help you? Ben nodded. I'm looking for Leela's mother. The woman blinked. What for? I met Leela last night. At the dance. The woman softened. Why, you're the one who danced with her. Ben looked surprised. She didn't stop talking about you. The woman said. Came in glowing like the sun this morning. Said some man in a suit danced with her like she was a princess. Ben smiled a little. She was. The woman wiped her hands on her apron. I'll get her mom. She disappeared into the back. A few moments later, a woman emerged. Mid-30s, tired eyes, brown ponytail, her hands were covered in flour, her expression was wary. She said, "I'm Maria, Lila's mom." Ben extended his hand. "Ben Carter." She didn't take it. "What's this about?" I met Lila last night. She was sitting alone, and I couldn't leave her there. I danced with her. That's all." Maria studied him. "You're that Ben Carter, aren't you?" He didn't answer. She folded her arms. "Look, if you're trying to use this for some PR story or media stunt." "No," he interrupted quickly. "That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" Ben hesitated. "I don't know." Maria sighed. "She really liked you. She hasn't stopped smiling. I don't know what you said to her, but, thank you." Ben nodded. "Can I see her again?" Maria was quiet. "She doesn't have a lot of people," she said. "Her dad, he left years ago. She holds on to hope like it's candy. Thinks if she's good enough, maybe he'll show up." Ben looked down. "I know that kind of hope." Maria softened. "Okay," she said finally. "But if you hurt her, I'll come after you with a frying pan." Ben chuckled. "Deal." That evening, Ben returned. Lila was drawing on the diner's placemats with crayons when he walked in. Her face lit up like fireworks. "Ben!" she cried. She ran to him, hugging his leg. Maria watched from behind the counter, surprised. Ben knelt down. "I promised I wouldn't let you down. Remember?" She nodded excitedly. "Are you here to color?" He smiled. "Only if you have the purple crayon." From that day, Ben started showing up. Sometimes just to share pancakes. Sometimes to help with her school project. Sometimes just to sit next to her at the park and push her on the swings. Maria was cautious at first. But she saw the way Ben looked at Lila. Not like a stranger, not like a visitor. Like a man who was trying to be whole again. Ben didn't tell anyone. Not his company. Not the press. Not his assistant who kept rescheduling meetings and sending desperate emails. He just kept showing up. And slowly, Lila bloomed. She laughed more, drew more, waited less. One afternoon as Ben walked her home, Lila looked up at him. "Were you always this nice?" she asked. Ben chuckled. "I don't think so." "Then what changed?" He looked at her. "You did. But life doesn't always stay sweet." One rainy afternoon, Maria called Ben in tears. "Lila's in the hospital," she choked. "She collapsed at school." Ben's heart stopped. He rushed to the hospital. Found Maria pacing the waiting room, eyes swollen. "They think it's her heart," she whispered. "She was born with a defect. We've been managing it, but she needs surgery. Soon." Ben didn't hesitate. "Whatever she needs, I'll pay." Maria stared at him. "You don't have to." "I want to," he said. "Please." He stayed by Lila's side every day after that. Read her stories. Held her hand. Brought her purple flowers and strawberry milkshakes. Before the surgery, Lila whispered, "You won't leave, will you?" "Never." Ben promised. And he meant it. The surgery was successful. And when Lila woke up, Ben was right there, holding her hand, tears in his eyes. Maria stood by the door, watching him. "You really care about her," she said softly. Ben nodded. "She saved me first." Maria smiled. "Then I'm glad you found us." By the time Lila left the hospital, the world had caught on. Photos from the dance had gone viral. Tech billionaire dances with unknown girl. A Ben's PR team begged for a response. Reporters camped outside the diner. The internet exploded with questions. Ben called a press conference. He walked up to the mic and said only one thing: "Her name is Lila. And she reminded me what it means to be human again." No further questions. Then he walked away. And the world fell in love with the story of the little girl in the blue dress. And the billionaire who never forgot how to show up. The next morning, Ben Carter sat alone at his breakfast table. His phone was buzzing with emails and reminders, meetings, interviews. A press call. But he wasn't opening anything. He was just sitting there. Staring at his coffee. Remembering her, Lila. That little girl in the blue dress who looked up at him and said, "It's the father-daughter dance, and I'm alone." He had danced with her. Just for an hour. But it didn't feel like an hour. It felt like something bigger. Something that stuck with him. He had laughed. Twirled. Clapped along to the music. And for the first time in a long, long while he had felt like he mattered. Not as a CEO. Not as a billionaire. just as someone showing up for a little girl who needed him. He remembered her tiny shoes stepping on his. Her head resting lightly against his coat. And her voice. "Thank you, Mr. Ben." He didn't even know why that made his eyes sting again that morning. Ben stood up and walked to the window. His penthouse looked over the whole city. Glass buildings, cars like ants, people rushing everywhere. But one little girl's smile had slowed everything down for him. He picked up his phone and called his assistant. "Cancel my morning." "Sir, we have." "Cancel it." "I'll explain later." He didn't know what he was doing. He only knew that he needed to know more. About Leela. About where she came from. About why her dad hadn't shown up. And mostly why he couldn't stop thinking about her. Ben returned to the dance studio that afternoon. It was quiet now. The pink streamers were gone. The music was off. But the receptionist remembered him. "You were here last night, right? With the little girl." He nodded. "She left a card." The receptionist said. "Dropped it while running out. I was hoping someone would come back for it." The woman handed it over. It was a folded piece of notebook paper with a pink crayon heart on the front. Inside it read, "My name is Leela James. I'm 6. I love glitter and peanut butter sandwiches. My dad is really busy but he loves me. I believe he'll come one day. Love. Leela." A phone number was scribbled at the bottom. Ben stared at it. He left without saying a word. He dialed the number as soon as he got to his car. A man answered after several rings. His voice was tired, cautious. "Hello, is this Leela's dad?" Silence. Then, "Yes. Who's this?" Ben paused. "My name is Ben Carter. I met your daughter last night. At the dance." "Oh, I just wanted to say, she's a very special kid." Another pause.
"Yeah, she is."
Ben heard the weight in the man's voice. The quiet. The guilt. "I wanted to know if you're okay." Ben added. There was a sigh. "I'm trying. I work 2 jobs. I wanted to be there. I just couldn't get off in time. She waited for me." "I know. I let her down." Again. Ben didn't speak. The man continued. "She still believes in me. That makes it worse. She writes me those little notes. Believes every promise I make." Ben felt his chest tighten. "You're trying your best." "I don't want pity, sir." "I'm not offering pity. Just asking if there's something I can do." The man paused again. "Why?" Ben looked out at the road. "Because she reminded me of my daughter." That evening, Ben stood outside a small apartment building on the edge of the city. It wasn't much. Paint peeling, stairs creaky. But it was home to Leela. Her father, Marcus James, opened the door. He looked young, maybe early 30s, worn out, sleepless eyes, calluses on his hands. "Mr. Carter." Ben nodded. "Thanks for letting me come." Leela was on the couch coloring. When she saw Ben, her eyes lit up. "Mesita." "Ben." She ran over and hugged his leg. "You came. I told you I wouldn't let you down." Marcus watched from the doorway, unsure what to say. Ben sat down beside her. She showed him her drawing. A picture of 2 stick figures dancing under streamers. "That's me," she pointed. "And that's you. I drew your shiny shoes." Ben laughed. "You got them just right." Marcus sat across from them. "I don't want to get in the way of anything. But I do want to say thank you. For making her feel special." Ben looked up. "She is special. And she deserves people who see that." They talked a little longer. About schools. About dreams. About the messiness of being a parent. Then Ben did something he hadn't planned. He handed Marcus a card. "My company offers family support programs. After school care, flexible work shifts, even transportation stipends. I'd like to offer you a position. Part-time to start." Marcus blinked. "Why are you doing this?" Ben answered softly. "Because once I missed a dance too, and I never got another chance." Over the next week, Ben visited often. Sometimes he brought books. Sometimes a coloring set. Once, he brought peanut butter sandwiches and glitter pens. Leela started calling him Mr. B. And one day, she asked, "Do you have a daughter?" Ben's eyes lowered. "I did. A long time ago." "Where is she?" "She lives far away now." "Do you miss her?" "Every single day." Leela nodded. "Maybe you can be my backup dad. Just on the days mine is working." Ben smiled. "I'd like that very much." One Friday afternoon, Leela had a small talent show at school. She was nervous. Her dad couldn't come, he had a shift. She looked around the crowd, and then, there he was, Ben, in a suit, holding a flower. Smiling, she ran to the stage and waved at him. Then she sang her song, off-key too fast, and with so much heart it made everyone clap wildly. Ben stood and clapped the loudest. Outside she ran up to him. "You came?" He knelt down. "Of course I did. You always come," she whispered. He didn't answer. He just hugged her close. And for the first time in years, Ben Carter felt like he was part of a family again. Ben knocked on the door gently and waited. The apartment was quiet. For a moment, he thought no one was home. Then the door creaked open. Leela's mother stood there, wearing an oversized sweater, her eyes tired. When she saw Ben, her face shifted from confusion to surprise. "You're him," she said slowly. "The man from the dance." Ben gave a small smile. "Ben Carter. We met briefly sort of. I didn't get your name that night." She stepped back, unsure whether to invite him in or shut the door. "Rachel," she said. "Rachel Harper." "I'm not here to intrude," he said gently. "Just to check on Leela. I haven't stopped thinking about her since that night." Rachel hesitated. Then, slowly, she opened the door wider. "She's in her room," she said. She was quiet after the dance. Happier but quiet. Ben stepped inside. The apartment was small, worn couch, a pile of unopened mail. A toy unicorn missing one leg sat on the floor. "She told me you danced with her," Rachel said as she poured 2 glasses of water. "She said you didn't laugh at her shoes or her 2 left feet. She danced beautifully," Ben said softly. Rachel smiled faintly, then her face turned serious. "Why are you here, Mr. Carter?" Ben looked at her carefully. "Because, that night reminded me of something I forgot. What it feels like to matter to someone. Even for just a moment." She looked down at her hands. Leela's father left before she turned 4. "Never looked back." Ben nodded. "She said he might come. She still believes that, doesn't she?" Rachel sighed. "Every year, every event, every birthday. She writes his name on cards and waits by the door." Ben clenched his jaw. He looked around the room. Quiet, fragile hope lived here. And pain that never quite left. "I want to help," he said finally. "Not just her. You too." Rachel laughed softly. Not mocking, just tired. "Help how?" Ben pulled out a simple envelope and set it on the table. "I don't want to throw money at this. I want to be present. To offer stability. She doesn't need a check. She needs people who show up." Rachel's eyes filled. "Why? You don't owe us anything." Ben hesitated. "Because once, I didn't show up for my daughter. I had a meeting, and then I had another. And then, it was too late." Rachel's voice cracked. "Did she forgive you?" He looked away. "I'll never know. She passed in a car accident when she was 19. We hadn't spoken in 3 years." Rachel covered her mouth. "I'm so sorry." Ben nodded slowly. "So when I saw Leela sitting there alone, I saw her. My Emily, same blue dress, same hope in her eyes." Silence filled the room. From down the hall a small voice called, "Mom." Leela appeared, hair messy, socks mismatched. When she saw Ben she froze. "Hi," he said softly. She smiled slowly. "You came back. I told you I wouldn't let you down. Remember?" Leela ran to him and hugged his waist tightly. Ben closed his eyes for a second and rested his hand on her back. Rachel wiped her eyes quietly. That evening, Ben stayed for dinner. It was just spaghetti and toast, but Leela insisted he sit next to her. She told him about her school, her new gold star for reading, and how she wanted to be a ballerina scientist when she grew up. Rachel listened, amazed. Leela hadn't talked this much in weeks. After dinner, Ben offered to do the dishes. Rachel laughed. "A billionaire doing dishes in a 1-bedroom apartment," she teased. He smiled. "Maybe that's exactly what I need." Later that night, as Leela drifted to sleep with her unicorn clutched in her arms, Ben stood at the door, ready to leave. Rachel walked him out. "I'm still not sure what this is," she admitted. "But she likes you." "That hasn't happened in a long time." Ben nodded. "I'd like to be part of her life. If you'll allow it. I'm not asking for anything in return." Rachel studied his face. "Tired, honest, kind." "We'll see," she said softly. "But thank you." Ben smiled. "Good night, Rachel." "Good night, Ben." The next few weeks passed like slow sunlight through curtains. Ben picked Leela up from school once a week. He brought her books. Took her to the park. Introduced her to ice cream flavors she never tried. Rachel watched cautiously, but never stopped him. Leela was smiling more. Laughing again. One afternoon, while Ben was showing Leela how to fly a paper plane, Rachel pulled him aside. She has a recital, she said. In 2 weeks, she's scared. Doesn't want to go unless someone's in the front row. Ben didn't hesitate. I'll be there. Promise. He looked into her eyes. I don't break promises anymore. But 2 weeks later, the auditorium buzzed with quiet chatter. Ben sat in the front row, holding flowers. He looked out of place in a navy blue suit among sweatshirts and backpacks, but he didn't care. When the curtain rose, Leela walked out in a sparkly purple leotard, her hair pulled back with glittery pins. She spotted him instantly, her face lit up, she danced, clumsy yes. A little offbeat. But she smiled the whole time. Ben clapped louder than anyone. Afterward she ran into his arms. You didn't miss it, she cried. Never, he whispered. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Rachel stood nearby, arms crossed. She watched them. Later, when they walked home together, Leela holding Ben's hand, Rachel looked at him and said, she thinks you hung the moon, you know. Ben smiled at Leela. She saved me first. Rachel looked at him. Really looked this time, and smiled. 1 month turned into 3. Ben cleared his calendar every Thursday. He began to show up for more than dances and recitals. He helped Leela with math homework, painted her bedroom wall with stars, bought her a proper science kit. One rainy night, Leela asked, "Are you my guardian angel?" Ben blinked. Why? Because you came when I needed someone most. He hugged her tightly. I think we found each other. Rachel, watching from the hallway, felt her heart ache in the best way. This wasn't just kindness. This was something healing all of them. And Ben Carter, once known for stock prices and business meetings, now sat cross-legged building Lego castles. Because he'd remembered something that night on the dance studio steps. That love doesn't care about titles. It cares about who shows up. And stays. And just like that. One small moment of kindness changed everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for giving us your time. We'll see you in the next story.